Alright everybody, today is March the 10th, an hour after the weekly open. Let's do the market outlook and plans for the week ahead. So let's go ahead and start off with the boring bit. I don't generally cover the news events that much, but we have core CPI on Tuesday this week. I do think it's an important thing to pay attention to, not from a reason to take a trade or anything like that, but just paying attention to where the print comes in, because we really are still looking for indication of rates getting cut. Look at how much the market, both equities and crypto have trended up recently. If we were to get the extra support of rates getting cut and money becoming less expensive, that would really just, add fuel to the fire and could just spark some insane, momentum upwards. So I don't think that that's necessarily something that we need to be uber focused on, because it, obviously the past 14-15 months have proven that the macro isn't necessarily something that needs to be supportive in order for markets to trend upwards in our favor, but it could absolutely help. So I mean, basically anything that fits our bias for up is what we're looking for, right? So yeah, again, I won't be making any specific trade decisions on that. It'll just be something that I'll check when the print comes out to see what it's looking like. All right, let's go ahead and get into the Bitcoin macro. So where we're at, guys, the trend has been really strong. Like I talked about a few times recently, value's definitely overextended. We're in the most, probably the most overextended from value that we've ever been. The only other time that could be comparable to this would be the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021. I showed that on the stream last week. Basically what we're working with right now is, we're bullish as long as we trade over 60,000. 60,000 was the final resistance, which now has turned into support last week. The aggressive dip into this level last week was a fantastic trading opportunity. I kind of think that right now that we're going to start to mark out the larger range. So what we had talked about, our scenarios for how we saw this playing out was, the primary situation was sideways. There was always the scenario that we just kept going up and, kind of continue the parabola. But the main thing that we were looking for was to build out a range and to go sideways, which would allow value to catch up. We'll cover that when we get to the VWAP section. So the range that I'm more or less expecting is, 69K range high and 64K range low. Theoretically, the range low could be all the way down into the 60s. This could be like a larger range all the way down here. But I don't really think that I'm expecting that until until we kind of blast through and trade all the way down there. I really think that 64K should hold roughly for range lows moving forward. So as far as macro goes, everything is still super bullish. I think that it makes sense to be prepared for some chop, which for active trading is totally, works for us, just because as long as we sort out what the strong altcoins are, they're going to keep going up during this period. So from a macro standpoint, I think that be prepared for a little bit of sideways chop before we eventually break the 70K region and send up, with another expansion wave. There's quite a bit of ask liquidity right now in the 70K area that's holding us down. I don't really know that there's real intent from those guys to sell. I think that that's just being used to mark out this range. There's been quite a lot of aggressive TWAP buying above 60K. And I think that basically all the major venues have the ask loaded up in the 70K region with intent to suppress price so that accumulation for the next kind of expansion wave can come. So yeah, that's pretty much it. TLDR, sideways, we're still bullish above 64K, or excuse me, we're bullish above 60K from a macro standpoint. We expect 64K to be immediate support. So let's go ahead and move over to medium time frame on Bitcoin. It's more or less the same argument that I was just presenting. So there's a chance that the kind of dip for the week is already in right now. That looks like, number one right here. I'm going to be okay with it either way, whichever one it plays out, but just trying to maybe turn my brain on a little bit. I think that the more deep dip into the 64K area makes a little bit more sense to me, just because of how many people it would wipe out in the process. This isn't even a large move by any means. This is us moving down another like 4 or 5%, and this would really crush people. If Bitcoin goes down 5%, altcoins are going to go down 20%, especially the high volatility ones like meme coins and stuff. And it would just be a fantastic opportunity to reposition. So that's what I would be using that for. I would just be like aping really hard on meme coin spot, most likely. So yeah, I mean, there isn't a whole lot to go over on the medium time frame. Loving the premium that we're seeing against, for Coinbase spot against Binance spot. It's definitely something that I like to see. Very indicative of how aggressive Coinbase has been with buying, even during the weekend. But like for the past, like, I don't know, like week or so, the TWAPs on Coinbase have been really firing off. So that doesn't mean that we won't trade down in the process, but it does clearly mean that there's some aggressive spot accumulation going on Coinbase, which is obviously something we want to see. So that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. TLDR is still super bullish on the higher time frame. I think that it makes sense for us to trade down a little bit in the meantime and kind of chop people up a little bit. Everybody's been waiting for the breakout. If you look at open interest, every time we get into this range high area, you have a massive increase in open interest, mostly from aggressive longs coming in. So it just makes sense to continue to whipsaw them around and stop them out. Eventually people will get kind of tired of getting stopped out, and you will see less intent to catch that breakout long. I think that, people have already got, every time we smack into this region, we kind of yeet down on them, and people will stop going for the breakout longs, and that's what we need in order to actually break out. So that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. The last kind of note that I wanted to make is that paying attention to the London and the New York session flows is going to be really important. Right off the back from the open today, we've had some pretty aggressive selling. That's not really something that's going to deter me all that much. My main focus for flows is going to be what is London and New York doing. It seems like London has been front running New York a lot recently, so that can be a decent indication. But obviously New York session is going to be the most important for sure, to see what kind of spot flows are coming in. Are they are the TWAPs firing off again? And if so, you want to be leaning towards up for sure. So that's going to be pretty much it for the Bitcoin stuff. Go ahead and get into the altcoin stuff. Solana, my baby for this bull market so far. It finally traded up into the $1.50 or the $150 range, and it has rejected from there a tiny bit, but that was more or less to be expected. So 150 was the first major resistance, and then we were looking at like 170 as the next resistance. If Solana gets over 170 and we see it in like the $200 region, that's gonna be all clear for it to descend to like $400 or something like that. I don't think any of this resistance matters. It's just these two ones that I'm really focused on. So yeah, I think that if Solana does do any sort of meaningful pullback, that buying it makes a lot of sense. I don't have any derivative position on it open right now, but I still have all my spots, so just patiently waiting to see how Solana plays out. If it keeps trading up higher, I'll be happy. If it trades back down, I might even buy more, honestly. If you're interested in gaining access to the spaghetti template and learning how to properly utilize it, you should consider joining the Paragon group. Using spaghetti right now is going to be a huge thing for me to simplify my trading. So that'll be something that, every day I'm going to be looking at this. I'll be looking at this several times per day to get an idea of where things are at. Lately, it's been AI and meme. Like, basically, the capital just keeps flowing from one to the other. Like, AI will cool down and memes will heat up again. Memes will cool down and AI will heat up again. I did see some signs of attention being shifted over to GameFi. Which I think GameFi is a fantastic narrative and will probably do really well in the bull market. But I still think that that memes and AI are probably going to still maintain king mode. But I really don't care. Whatever narrative starts to heat up is what I'm going to play. And I do think that GameFi will probably do well. And it makes sense that, a lot of the times the way that the cycles play out is that the first time a narrative really emerges, the tech isn't really there with people's expectations. So last cycle we had the GameFi narrative, and it just didn't really materialize very well because like the development wasn't caught up with how, with what people expected from it. Everybody thought we were going to be in Ready Player One or whatever, and we were so far away from that from a tech point of view. But what I'm getting at is that we're in the next cycle, right? So the technology behind something like GameFi has probably caught up in a big way and actually can impress people again. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the week, guys. Good luck out there. Cheers. I think it's probably going to be a big week. A lot of opportunity, and good luck out there. Cheers.